Hey, welcome back. Yeah, so I like this. This is a good game. I'm being quiet again. You know what I was thinking? What if I put a blanket over my head and then I would still have the ring light, so maybe you could see me and then I would be able to talk louder because I'd be under a blanket. I don't know. But I still don't like that I'm not talking loud. I know there's somebody upstairs, so it's part of it. Oh, stop. Gotta get the job done. Gotta start a new mission. Gotta meet my son. Okay, more of Wall Breakers from yesterday. So I'm reading a book called The Dark Forest. It's about aliens and stuff, and it's cool. So if you remember from yesterday, the wall facers are people who are making plans to try to fight against the aliens who are coming in 400 years. But they get unlimited resources and they're not supposed to tell anybody what the plan is, because then the Sophons will know and they'll tell Trisolaris. But kind of like a weird, one of my favorite parts so far was one of the wall facers doesn't want to be part of the project. He's like, I'm just this, I'm a nobody. Why am I part of this project? I don't want to do it. But because of the way the program works, everything he says could technically be part of the plan. So if he's telling people, I don't want to be a part of this plan, it's like, all right, we gotcha. And they kind of wink out. I'm like, okay, this is part of the plan, right? So he has to be part of the plan once he's part of it. Okay, you're trying to trick him, right? You're trying to tell him ooh, I don't want to be part of the plan. He's like, no, I liked that. It's kind of funny. So the guy does something interesting. I hope that's not my car. Could be. Let me check, hold on. Okay, well it stopped anyway. Oh. Remember my car? Sometimes the alarm goes off and I get scared that it's mine. Okay, cool. I gotta catch some guys, but cool. So that guy who doesn't want to become a wall facer, he becomes this. He's like, well, I might as well just become a weird emperor person. People are just gonna do whatever I say, so I'll just have them find a girl for me and in a big mansion. And so that's what he does. But I think in the end, he's probably going to be the one to save everybody, because the other two guys died. But that's enough of that book. Maybe? Well, what's the last note? Oh, I liked this part. Another horn going off. So there's one. God, come on, talk louder. Ugh. There is kind of a hyper-logical way that the writer writes, which I don't think actually would translate. I think they're making a Netflix show out of this, but I don't think it'll work because, I don't know, it has to be a lot different from the book. There's not much, like I mentioned with Dune, there's not much soul to it. It's just very hyper logical, and there's a lot of conversations okay, this is the science, and this is how this works, and this is how the Sophons work, and this is how nuclear weapons work. And it's really cool to hear like it over explained. I like that kind of stuff. I don't know. But like I don't really care about any of the characters. I had to catch something. And I never got the map, did I? Did I get the map? Nope. Oh, but now I can go up here, and then I think he gives me Pokeballs. Here he is. Can you still do the missing no trick? Everything makes sense and works the way it's supposed to, and everyone over-explains stuff for some reason. I like that. But I don't think it would translate well to a TV show. I feel like I'm doing bad today. Ugh. Sorry. Do better, do better. Be louder, be smarter, be funnier. I didn't do the podcast yet. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Maybe in a couple weeks. She hasn't said, but like I'm sure she's super busy organizing this whole thing. She said she wants to get like 20 people to talk on the show, so like that's gonna be crazy. I'm sure she's got like a ton of emails. But that's coming. I didn't go on any dates or anything. That's a disaster. Oh, I'll talk about Tinder later, but I went back on Tinder, and it's terrible, of course. Did he give me Pokeballs? I don't know. So there was a cool concept. I might catch a Pidgey. Give me a Pidgey. Pidgey's my favorite. I don't like the rat. Really? I don't really like rat. Man. I'm not a big rat guy. I might die. Oh, the main character in the book's name is Lou, too. Maybe that's why I was thinking of it. His name's Lou Oji. So there's a thing that develops called defeatism, which is basically means that all the soldiers in the army don't want to fight because they see the war as like, we're gonna die. What's the point of like, what's the point of being in this army? This is so stupid, and like we're not even gonna. It's 400 years later, so people kind of view it as like, what's the word? I can't think of it. It's like it's useless. We can't win. It's over. So it's called defeatism. So one of the wall facers is a neuroscientist, and he develops this thing called a mind. What's it called? A mind seal. So I don't really remember how he does this, but he develops this thing where I should use the bubble. I'm gonna die. Ooh. He can do this thing on your mind where he can implant a thought that is like unbreakable. So they start off with this idea like, okay, water is toxic. So they implant this thought in a person. It's a belief, they call it. So they implant a belief that water is toxic. And so like you just believe it. Nothing can shake that belief. So then they use this technology on the soldiers to make them think like, okay, the war is winnable. So I was gonna say like, the thing that I thought of when I was reading this is, because this guy's Chinese, and like the difference between Chinese culture and American culture is we're very, it's hard to say this because I don't know that much about China and stuff, but like just from a general perspective and just looking from the outside, they have to be like more trusting of their government and like follow the rules. They're more, that's just part of their culture. I feel like that they just follow whatever the government says, and they're not allowed to. I mean, I know it's part of just the structure of, I don't want to kill him. Just a bunch of dead birds and rats lying around here. Whoops. I'll catch the rat, whatever. Level 2. You know what? I'm just gonna kill it. But basically, once this mind cap idea is presented to the UN, all the UN people are like, no, we can't do that because that's policing thought. And the way I, like, my Americanness, like, I'm more cynical about government. Maybe Chinese people are too. I don't know what I'm talking about, but we're more like, the government wouldn't care about that. Like, they would do it if they could. Like, this guy presents this idea to the UN, and everybody, like, the Americans, the Chinese, the French, the Japanese, they're all like, no, we can't do that. That's the worst thing in the world, to implant a thought in somebody. And I'd be like, ugh. In my American brain, I'm like, if an American wrote this book, if they would have just done it. The governments would have just done it, and they wouldn't have told the people. They would have just been like, yeah, whatever. Let's just do it. Like, we have to, so let's do it. I don't have any Pokeball. Oh, yeah. Remember, you gotta hold A and B. Yeah, all the countries are against it. They even create, like, really strict rules about, like, you're not allowed. So, slowly over time, they're like, okay, it's the only thing. And the reason that they're allowed to do it is because the guy comes up with the idea. He's like, okay, it has to be voluntary. Like, if a person wants that belief in their head, then it's okay. And everybody's like, okay, we can kind of do that. Okay, Rattata. What should I name him? I'm gonna name him, I don't know, like, he's just like a little rat and everybody hates him, but, like, let's give him a good name to pump him up and make him feel good. Let's call him, yeah, what about Jupiter? I'm thinking I've got planets on the brain. Jupiter, the god of thunder. We're going to the end with Rat-a-tat. I've changed my mind. I'm keeping him. Okay, I gotta end. What was the last note about the book? If an American wrote this book, they wouldn't care about free will. I was gonna maybe talk about, like, so in the book they're saying, like, okay, you're only allowed to use this for the defeatism, like, nothing else. And a guy comes up to them and he's like, can you make me believe that my wife didn't cheat on me? And they're like, no, obviously, no, we can't do that. And then he's like, oh, okay, and then he leaves. I was kind of wondering, like, if I could do a mind seal for God, would I? It's a pretty interesting question. My first reaction was like, yeah, of course, I would do that. Like, I want to believe in God, so. But then I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, I'm a Christian and I want to be a good Christian and I want to be But then I'm like, ooh. Sometimes I look at people who are like, they have a mind seal. They've created a mind seal for themselves. They believe like, okay, God is real no matter what. Nobody can change my mind. And they kind of become terrible people. It is obviously like you're sealing your mind. You become closed-minded, right? Even if it's for something that like you want. It's kind of a profound thing to think about, because maybe questioning it is like what you're supposed to do. Maybe that's something that does, obviously, it does deepen the connection to the thing, whatever it is, if you don't just have blind faith. It just deepens it. It makes it less like surface level and just like, okay, whatever. So it's kind of a cool book and a cool idea and some cool thoughts, and I'll see you tomorrow.